Even as the security situation in Afghanistan worsens and the Taliban continues to gain control of more territory, the question has now arisen, how is New Delhi dealing with the situation? And according to reports, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will make a stopover in Iran later today and hold a meeting with Iran's Foreign Minister Javad Zarif ahead of his scheduled visit to Russia later today. The key focus during the meeting will be on Afghanistan as the Taliban continues to make rapid advancements. India has high stakes in developmental projects in the country, and with the withdrawal of US troops, the situation continues to be extremely volatile in the region. Both countries have been working on the Chabahar Port project, which has been the key pillar of connectivity between the nations. From Tehran, Indian External Affairs Minister Jaishankar will then fly to Russia to attend the annual India-Russia summit. The formal statement by the Indian government says that the visit will cover a range of bilateral issues along with regional matters. However, the key lies in the most important regional issue for India, that is the Afghanistan crisis. The situation unfolding in Afghanistan has been on India's agenda for the past few weeks. Just last month, Jaishankar made 2 visits to Qatar in a week. The visits came at a time when discussions between the Taliban and the Afghan officials known as the Doha talks were about to get underway, and Jaishankar's Qatar visit came amid reports of India being open to talks with the Taliban leaders for the first time, which the Indian government later categorically denied. Earlier, the Indian Foreign Secretary Harsh Shringla had said that the Taliban's relentless pursuit of power through violence has created an uncertain situation in Afghanistan and that the situation there remains fluid. Now, Russia looks at India as a key ally in the region. Russian authorities themselves have also been in talks with stakeholders in Afghanistan. India's External Affairs Minister's visit is in continuation of the frequent high-level visits between India and Russia. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov visited India in April earlier this year, and this visit will further strengthen the special and privileged strategic partnership between the two countries. While Afghanistan, of course, remains a key focus area, India and Russia will also have other important bilateral matters to discuss, including the fight against the pandemic. The leaders are also expected to discuss ways to boost cooperation under the framework of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission for Trade, Economic, Scientific and Cultural Cooperation. For more on this story, our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal is now joining us live with further details. Siddhant, thanks so much for joining us on WION at this hour. India, of course, is a big stakeholder in the Afghanistan peace process. The Indian Foreign Minister is headed to Russia and will also be making a stopover in Iran. All this while the Taliban continues to gain ground. So what will be on the agenda for Jaishankar?
Well, Priyanka, while Delhi is abuzz with a lot of activity, Tehran seems to be another capital in the region that is buzzing with activity. Not only it hosted the talks between Taliban and the representatives from the Afghan society, Afghan political leadership earlier today. Right now, even as we speak, there are talks underway between the Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and his Iranian counterpart, the Iranian foreign minister. We know Iran, of course, shares a land border with Afghanistan, and India has been engaging with Iran on many things, including Afghanistan. But this is a significant visit in terms of the first high-profile visit from India to Iran after the new president has taken over. In fact, the Indian External Affairs Minister will be meeting the new president of Iran as well, and he's expected to give him a message sent by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well. But clearly it is Afghanistan that is on top of the agenda. We know that the engagement India is having, in fact, his next stopover will be Moscow, where he will be part of the Intergovernmental Commission meeting his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, and of course discussing how to make sure that the situation in Afghanistan does not exacerbate. We know the Taliban is making rapid gains, but also we need to understand that the Afghan authorities, the Afghan army is in a strong position, and they're expected to mount a strong offensive against Taliban. In fact, the new commander of the Bagram airfield spoke exclusively to WION and said the offensive is ready. Soon we can see a massive offensive. But as of now, it looks like increased violence level is bad for the civilian population in Afghanistan. India has been a major stakeholder in terms of capacity building, infrastructure development and other related projects. India would not like to see increase in violence and the loss of the gains made in last 20 years, which includes women's rights, minority rights.
Right, Siddhant, very quickly, let's move on to Russia's stake in Afghanistan. Russia has said that it will do everything possible, including the use of its biggest overseas military base in Tajikistan to defend its allies from any threat. Tell us more about the same as Jaishankar later heads to Russia.
Well, yes, India and Russia both have been engaging on Afghanistan. In fact, India was part of the Moscow format of conversation on Afghanistan, in which, interestingly, Taliban were called. In fact, India had sent representatives who were not part of the government, ex-envoys who participated. By that time, of course, it raised eyebrows that India sat with Taliban. But India clarified that it had never had conversations with Taliban. Now, of course, there is buzz that India is again talking to Taliban. It's not happening at the higher levels, of course. That has been denied by the Indian side. But nonetheless, what the big focus is how both countries can make sure that the situation does not become much more volatile in terms of the violence that we have seen in Afghanistan. Also, both countries can work together with the Afghan government, that the Afghan government is not destabilized. We know that Russia has been engaging with Taliban publicly. It has accepted, in fact, of all the countries in the region who are bordering Afghanistan and its larger neighbors have been engaging with Taliban, barring, of course, India. So India perhaps could have conversation on Taliban,
right,
on how to go about conversation with Taliban when it comes to Russia. In fact, one thing I can tell you is when Sergei Lavrov was here in Delhi earlier this year, he was accompanied by the Russian Special Envoy on Afghanistan, Zamir Kabulov.
Right, Siddhant, thank you so much for all those updates and thank you for joining us on WION at this hour. We'd leave it there. WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.